Disgruntled ANC Eastern Cape members have lost their urgent bid to nullify outcomes of the 2017 elective conference. The South Gauteng High Court struck the matter off the roll with costs. National Executive Committee member Spoon Ndebele released a report into the dispute around the provincial conference. The report recommended that the provincial executives be disbanded and a new conference be held. The event descended into chaos when Oscar Mabuyane was elected to replace Premier Phumulo Masualle as chair of the province. In the ruling, Judge Zinat Karelsa said that because disgruntled members approached the court 11 days after the report, the matter was not seen as urgent. The matter is expected back in court next month. Well, joining us in studio is the ANC Eastern Cape member Baxolile Khulu, and on the phone line is political analyst Professor Barry Hanyane. Very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, Baxolile, you've gone from the high courts all the way to the Constitutional Court. Talk us through what got you to this point, and if you indeed have exhausted all of the internal dispute resolution processes of the ANC.
Thank you. I just want to give a brief background of where we come from. It all started from the branches where the regional executive committee members and some of the PEC members in convening the PGMs, manipulating the process, excluding some branches on participating in the provincial conference, creating parallel structures leading up to the provincial conference. Mm-hmm. That's where it all started. We appealed that. Up until today, the conference went on, disregarding our appeal. That is why we find ourselves here now.
Mm-hmm. And the election was dubbed a festival of chairs, and there have been disputes and a lot of court cases that might actually injure the ANC's prevalence in that province. At the request of the ANC, if they were to request you, would you be prepared to let this one go just for the sake of unity within the party?
I wouldn't understand on which basis would they request us to let it go. Mm-hmm. Because even the president himself, Cyril Ramaphosa, says views that conference as the festival of chairs. In a festival, anyone just comes uninvited and all that. So a proper conference of the ANC gets to abide by the decorum of the ANC, following the guidelines, the constitution and everything. Mm-hmm. So in pursuit of the unity, what we are saying is that the NEC must take a bold, decisive step in making sure that the conference sits and produce the legitimate leadership. That is the unity we seek to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has also mentioned that, he actually mentioned this last week, urging members of the party not to take the party to court. We also saw some court disputes rising up in Limpopo. Do you think that perhaps this is still evidence that there are some deep factional issues that are at play in the party?
Quite confusing, because you also have another NEC member, Comrade Begitele, who's saying the members of the ANC must continue taking the ANC to court up until they are able to lead, which means they are considering that there are gaps in their leadership, and as such, we are encouraged to go to courts. So I'm surprised when President Cyril Ramaphosa says we shouldn't be taking the ANC to court, yet the other NEC member sitting on the very same platform is singing a different song. That's very confusing.
Now, Professor Barry Hanyane, I just want to get your voice on this matter. What are your thoughts?
Kia ora, Betsy. A very good evening to you, good evening to your viewers and your studio guest. Well, look, it's unfortunate that sitting outside of the ANC and analyzing all these unfortunate incidences unfolding, one gets the impression that the internal structural processes within the party itself have not been somewhat structured in a way that they are able to deal and cushion some of these challenges that they are faced with. I'm excited by the fact that you pointed out a number of references, Limpopo being one. Sadly, this does not augur well for the image and the brand ANC, looking at it from the outside. What it dispels as a misconception is the fact that ANC members are in it for resources, are in it for proximity to resources, and that's the reason why you have these internal strifes and fights.
Now, if I just come back to you, Baxolile, previously your efforts to actually have your case dealt with on an urgent matter were, struck off the roll. Now you're going to the highest court in the land. Do you have sufficient proof to actually give you confidence that you will win this case?
Okay. To make it clear, or to put it clear to the viewers, that the case that was struck off the roll from the South Gauteng High Court, it's an Ndozini case. I'm an applicant in the Mgabadeli case, the one that was heard in the Grahamstown High Court. Then it was dismissed on the basis that the internal remedies are still ongoing. So we must wait for the internal remedies to conclude and the NEC to take its decisions. Then it's only then that if we are not satisfied with that we can approach the courts, because we would have exhausted all the internal remedies. This one is not linked to this, but it might be related just because it talks on the very same issue of the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference.
And what has the NEC's voice been so far on the matter that you take into the Constitutional Court?
The NEC, first of all, it just came to say it noted the report and it's going to go to the Eastern Cape for a political resolution. It never communicated its decision on the matter. So, and it's silent. I see on the affidavit by the Secretary General of the ANC saying the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference has not been endorsed, and they are still engaging on internal processes. So that's why they keep on saying that they are engaging on internal processes, and they would come out and say in a space of 2 weeks they would come down to Eastern Cape. We waited up until our eyes are blue, and they are blue now.
Now, if you do succeed with this court case, that means that even the NASREC conference results, could actually come under scrutiny. How would you respond to people who say that maybe you are still in conference hangover or that you are in some sort of denial?
Okay, to put it clear out there, our challenge of the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference has got nothing to do with NASREC. We are very happy with the outcomes of the NASREC conference. Remember, there were no glitches, there was nothing. There were not even court threats of interdicting the conference and stuff like that. There was no violence that broke out in that conference. It was above board. We are very happy with it. So all we're saying, our focus is on the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference. That's why we are encouraging the NEC to take a decision on it, because we don't want for chance takers to come in and say, just because you are successful in the Constitutional Court, how about this, how about that? Or they take it upon themselves to do that, basing their challenge on the decision that would have gotten from the Constitutional Court. We are happy with the NASREC conference. We are happy with Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. We are all part of the Tumamina campaign. We are in our branches, making sure that the ANC claims majority and overwhelming victory come 2019.
Professor, just in closing, what do you see as a way forward for the situation to be resolved?
Well, look, I think the office of the SG of the ANC has a lot on his desk to deal with. One of them is to make sure that the party gets to be modernized. In a sense, we need to observe putting such issues as part of the ANC's history and not as part of its own making in terms of dealing with present and future issues, especially when it comes to the making of provincial conferences and their outcomes, which sadly or fortunately, depending on which side of the fence you're positioning yourself at, may have serious ramifications for the party and its leadership. I think it's high time now that the ANC actually invest a lot of energy, effort, and commitment in making sure that the electoral internal processes are put in good shape, and all other processes that demand modernization of the party are actually receiving attention.
And Mr. Kulu, I mean, I can imagine that all of this litigation should be costing a lot of money. Do you have the financial muscle to, keep pushing until you get a victory?
Well, you'd notice that this case has attracted quite a number of an interest across the country. There are ANC members who are with us and saying you are fighting for a good cause, your case is valid, then we'll support you in every way possible. We are funding our own court case. We are collecting money from ourselves to make sure that we pay the legal bill.
And just your closing comments as well. What would happen if you don't actually win after going to the highest court in the land?
Fortunately or unfortunately, the Constitutional Court is the highest court in the land. Its decisions are inappealable anyway. You can't go anywhere. We will accept the outcomes, respect the decision of the Constitutional Court, and join the members of the ANC on the ground, because we've got no time to waste. There's elections just around the corner.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I do hope you get the responses from the NEC that you're waiting for, as well as from the office of the SG. I'm sure they're watching tonight. That was the ANC Eastern Cape member Batloli Lekulu, as well as Professor Barry Hayani joining us on the phone line.